What's up everyone, it's Caddy with Money Investing. So in this video, I've got top 10 artificial intelligence stocks for us to look into and of course research and talk about moving forward, because AI obviously has made waves this year in 2023 and it's still making waves this year with DALL-E 2, ChatGPT of course. These tools have literally increased productivity of millions of users worldwide and has obviously taken off like wildfire. They're improving, of course, the productivity of knowledge workers as well by more than 2 times already. I'm using ChatGPT pretty much every single day, and it's also increased coding assistance using artificial intelligence as well. So we are going to be talking about 10 companies in this video. I'll briefly go over the entire spectrum, the dynamics of the AI market, how big it's supposed to get, how big, or what are the different segments of AI market, because there's obviously different types of AI markets. It's not all about ChatGPT and search engines. There's also companies that actually produce the hardware, servers, chips, infrastructure for artificial intelligence, and there's companies that actually do the solutions, AI solutions and services that sell the products and services. And then there's also AI deployment companies that actually help other companies to deploy artificial intelligence in their own businesses. So there's a lot for us to cover in this video, and the 10 stocks that I've broken it down into this spreadsheet over here, I'm going to make myself smaller so you can actually see, but it's pretty much broken down into high quality, and high quality is going to be broken down into 2 different groups, which is going to be growth plus reasonable valuation, and we've got high growth plus high valuation stocks. And then we've got low quality companies, meaning that companies that are speculative and non-profitable right now. And I've also broken it down into 3 different tiers, which is going to be AI hardware. Again, companies focused on chips and servers and infrastructure. We got AI solutions, and then we got AI deployment. And I've also got one secret idea, secret company that's not currently public, but definitely a very, very good AI company to begin with. So that's something that, another company does have a controlling interest in. So we'll be talking about that as well. If you stick till the end of this video, I will definitely be talking about that as well. So let's just dive right into the AI market, shall we? So Brett Winston from ARK Invest pretty much said that corporate America is going to have to adapt to AI or die. This means that companies that use AI to its full extent will outcompete and outlast any companies that don't. So of course, ARK Invest, focuses very much on disruptive innovation. They've got their big ideas paper on 2023. And, Brett Winston was very, very eager to kind of explain what AI is all about and how companies are going to be using it. So I pretty much had the chance to read the paper a little bit and then listen to what he has to say on CNBC as well. And these are some of the things that he pointed to. This is a very useful tool, and many companies will use this to compete and win, and companies that don't, that will be the end of it, right? Those companies will go bankrupt because of not using artificial intelligence. And long term, he says the situation is that almost every company will have to use some form of AI in their business, which I do agree with, to practically exist. And just like every company had to move to the internet, to the computers, to phones, etc., AI will be a very important aspect of every business in about 10 years from now. And AI costs are also declining by 3 times per year. And most companies will see that as a way to increase productivity without having to add to their cost line. And so they will become more efficient over time as well. Because, when you're looking at artificial intelligence, and I'll tell you from my own experience, I have really cut down on my own productivity so much, like in terms of the time that I spend on researching has really come down. Because I got to be honest with you guys, as soon as, as ChatGPT has really changed my life. Even though I'm double checking everything on Google, so I'm not like completely off Google, but I'm still using ChatGPT on a regular basis and getting research done, summarizing papers, kind of reading and really getting a better understanding on economics, business, market. Like it's really more of an educational tool for me, a research tool, as opposed to anything else. Of course, I'm still double checking anything and everything on Google because I can't fully trust the data that's being produced by ChatGPT and AI there, because there's been obviously some inaccuracies. So that's there, but once it's fully functional, once we know for a fact that it is accurate, then I could really see myself using ChatGPT for the most part. So ARK Invest also believes, and they actually mentioned this in the paper, which I'll put the screenshots up on the screen now, that AI trading costs declining at a continued annual rate of 70%, and the cost to train the large language model GPT-3 level performance collapsing from $4.6 million in 2020 to now $450,000 in 2022, and they expect cost declines to continue at 70% rate through 2030 and costing just around get this, $30. From $4.6 million down to $30 in training AI, right? So the costs are declining substantially. And ARK Invest believes that hardware and software AI costs will also continue to decline by 70% at an annual rate. And they also believe that AI should increase the productivity of knowledge workers more than 4 times by 2030. At 100% adoption, AI could increase global labor productivity to $200 trillion, dwarfing the $32 trillion in total knowledge worker salaries. And AI market expected to grow anywhere between 39 to 42% CAGR, that's a compounded annual growth rate, over the next several years, and grow to a market worth almost $1 trillion by 2028, if not more, in future years. And like I said earlier in my, in the beginning parts of this video, that there's more than one way to benefit from this AI technology and continuing on this AI revolution. We can look at companies that are actually producing AI hardware in terms of the chips and servers and infrastructure, or we can look at companies that develop AI solutions and also sell AI deployment and development tools. Or we can look at companies that make products or services and improve their marketing to create efficiencies. So now I'm going to share those 10 companies. Again, it's going to be broken down into this spreadsheet here, which is going to pretty much be going over high quality versus low quality. And then within high quality, we're going to be talking about growth and valuation at a reasonable level, and then some high growth and high valuation companies that I do believe are going to be, very good quality, very good, growth, but they're obviously trading at, incredibly high valuations at the moment. And then we'll talk a little bit about speculative companies that are not quite profitable yet, and then finally jump over to our secret company as well. So first one on the list that we're going to talk about is going to be growth companies at a reasonable valuation. The first couple ones are going to be Google and Meta. So Google, with their Bard AI language models, will enable Google to deliver on better search engine results, of course, more engaged deliverables with better user experience. Obviously Google is at the forefront of artificial intelligence. Advertising metrics will also improve, and Google's overall ecosystem would benefit greatly with AI, no doubt. And of course, there's been a lot of, criticism around AI's Bard and Sundar Pichai being criticized for launching it in a very rushed manner. But at the same time, I think Google is still ahead in this AI race, even though they've not been able to execute as well. I think Bard AI and overall in the long term, I think Google has a lot of data points to work with. And just because ChatGPT is getting a lot of attention and it's growing like wildfire doesn't mean that Google's ecosystem is dead. I still believe that Google has a lot of quality, a lot of value. But of course, we have to also be very vigilant about the valuation. At low 90s, low 80s, I think Google is trading at a very reasonable to attractive valuation, to be honest. Then another stock in this sector, which again, both of these belong to the growth versus reasonable valuation, and they also belong to AI solutions because they're not the ones actually creating the infrastructure, meaning they're not the ones that are creating the hardware behind it, the chips or the brains, but instead more like products and services that people will buy and consume. And the second one on the list is going to be Meta Platforms. So Meta announced their generative AI, which would enable the company to focus on creating generative text and videos and images. And across the platform, it's also going to be adding its own chatbot to WhatsApp and Messenger, similar to what we have already seen with ChatGPT. This will most certainly boost advertising revenue and also create new revenue streams for the company, long-term making them more efficient over time as well. So both of these companies definitely at the top of the list for artificial intelligence. There's dedicated teams, dedicated investments being made in artificial intelligence and how they can incorporate this with the entire ecosystem that we have going on with social media and of course marketing and advertising. Then we're going to move on a little bit towards AI hardware. So we're going to talk a little bit about, again, these are going to be growth companies, growing revenues and earnings, high quality businesses. I've actually done detailed videos and analysis on all of these companies, so make sure that you do check them out. If you have the time, just simply type on YouTube, money vesting, and then you can go over to their videos that I've done specifically on these companies. But for AI hardware, we've got both TSMC and ASML. So when it comes to chips, right, semiconductors, Allied Market Research pretty much calculated that chip sector would clock a CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, of 37% over the next 10 years and grow to over $263 billion on this AI boom. And companies designing, manufacturing, and producing these chips would literally be considered as gold, right? So we have to really be understanding of the fact that chips, nothing happens without chips and servers. So the hardware behind the technology is going to be very, very important. So TSMC, obviously being the world's largest chip maker, of course, accounts for a majority of the share in the global semiconductor industry. So TSMC will be designing the brains behind the whole operation, because every piece of hardware will require chips. And of course, a lot of companies, including Apple, Nvidia, AMD, use TSMC to produce their chips, and they're pretty much the manufacturing leader when it comes to semiconductors. ASML, on the other hand, is also going to be providing a lot of computational power in reducing the size of the chips being produced, because in order for the chips to be a lot more efficient, right? So the increases in processing power of the chip and reducing the power consumption, so higher computational power is needed for running AI applications, which will create the need for chips being used at a smaller processing node. ASML is going to be at the top of the list because of their lithography processing technologies. We've talked about it before in our previous videos. I've actually done videos on ASML. It's one of my favorite companies. And of course, they're going to be able to provide, smaller, faster, cheaper chips for these semiconductor companies, and more specifically, the Dutch company's extreme ultraviolet lithography machines allow chip makers to reduce the size of the chips as well. So ASML, may not be known or may not be considered as an AI stock right now, but can definitely be one of those companies that can provide a lot of the hardware behind the technology. So both of these definitely fall in the criteria of AI hardware. Trading at reasonable valuations, I would still be, waiting for them to come down a little bit more at my fair value. And again, I've done separate videos on these companies, so make sure that you do check that out if you can find the time. And in my future videos, I'll definitely be doing a lot more analysis in these companies. Again, there's just not enough time for me to go over 10 different companies and their intrinsic value in this video. So I'm kind of going over them, in this video as a summary, and then we'll do a detailed analysis on these companies moving forward. So next one on the list is going to be another AI hardware company, but that's going to be belonging to a high quality, high valuation company. And if you haven't guessed already, it is going to be Nvidia. Ticker symbol NVDA, obviously trading at way above $230 per share, trading at 70 times earnings and over 21 times sales. But Nvidia literally creates the brain behind the whole operation. And ChatGPT, in fact, was built on Nvidia's chips as well. And it's been creating GPUs and supercomputers that are being used to run and deploy AI softwares and applications for a long time. So that definitely is going to make the list as a top AI stock. But fair value is obviously a lot lower, so closer to 100, 125. So if and when it comes down to that level, I will be all over Nvidia as an AI stock moving forward. Next one on the list is going to be Amazon, and Amazon is going to be AI solutions. Again, kind of falls under high growth and high valuation. So Amazon has collected, God knows, billions and trillions of worth of data points when it comes to e-commerce and shopping and online habits. So AI can enable the company to use that data, make sense of that data, and of course, exponentially improve their product recommendations, create unique user experiences. Also, the most compelling part about AI with Amazon is their integration into their cloud services. So Amazon Web Services, right? The advancement of AI is obviously going to be linked to the cloud industry, and how the company is going to be using that to better improve Amazon Web Services is going to be a huge game changer for Amazon as well. So definitely a big AI component there for this company. But I know the valuation is a little too high. I'll be looking in the low 80s for this company to drop down to before I can start to consider this as a potentially good company to own. Of course, I still have some Amazon right now. We'll be buying more in the low 80s. Next one on the list is going to be another AI solutions company that is going to be high growth and maybe even a little bit of a higher valuation. That can definitely be argued, debatable. And that is going to be none other than your favorite stock, probably, and that's going to be Tesla. And Tesla, similar to Amazon, has once again billions of miles worth of driving data available to them. They've collected that over years, and they're obviously at full capacity with training and modeling and deploying AI models to create autonomous vehicles and robo taxis, of course, which will fully reshape the entire automobile industry. So they are also an artificial intelligence stock worth considering. And of course, not to mention Optimus Robot, which is also maybe could be a game changer down the road for Tesla. We're talking 10, 20 years down the road. So Tesla definitely makes the list, but at lower valuations. That's why it's under the high valuation column. And I would be interested a lot more in the 150s, 140s for Tesla. Those are some of the prices that I'm really watching for this company. So now we get down to AI deployment, right? So these are companies that really do help other businesses kind of, become more efficient and become more lean in terms of cost savings, and also allow other companies to deploy artificial intelligence software and applications. And these are going to be, low quality, meaning that they're speculative in nature and not so profitable. And both of those companies, we've done analysis on in the past. In fact, artificial intelligence wise company C3 AI is going to be one of them. AI, we literally talked about this during our live stream, and I was talking about how it's got a bullish pennant or like a symmetrical triangle, and a potential breakout can happen for this company. And well, before you know it, it was up 33% on Friday. So, AI, once again, C3 AI is not profitable. And of course, the revenue's been growing reasonably well, but earnings are still down quarter over quarter, year over year. It's still not that great, but it's got a lot of potential in the way it's operating. And of course, if this AI boom takes over, lots of companies are going to be coming over to C3 AI to kind of deploy their artificial intelligence. And that's also something the company can benefit from and eventually turn the corner towards profitability. UiPath is another Cathie Wood stock, ARK Invest stock that is definitely been talked about a lot. I've done several videos on this company. Again, speculative in nature, not quite profitable, still down quite a bit from its all-time highs. So they pretty much, automate all those processes that are super tedious, super mundane. And, the stock price, unfortunately, is down from $90 down to $14. So it's down over 84%. But that being said, it's definitely got the potential, right? That's why it's on the list. It's got the potential, but it's also in the speculative, non-profitable area section. So you want to be very careful with these two companies because, they're kind of like make it or break it type deal. They can either be very successful or they can literally just, burn and just go bankrupt. So you definitely want to be very careful if you are interested in those companies. I've already done analysis on both of them. And again, if you know more about these companies, definitely feel free to kind of let me know in the comment section down below what you know about these two that are, that they're working on artificial intelligence. But that being said, start small and you can always size up and scale up as the companies, become more efficient and of course better in terms of profitability and free cash flow. So last but not least, I've got a secret company, not so much of a secret, but really just like a secret idea for us to consider. And that is going to be Boston Dynamics. Like for those of you who don't know, they are literally at the cutting edge of robotics and autonomous robots here. So artificial intelligence is a very, very critical part of training these robots. And if you haven't seen videos on YouTube, what have you been doing? Like Boston Dynamics is just a phenomenal company in terms of creating these robots, but they're also a private company. However, there is a company called Hyundai Motors that actually does own Boston Dynamics. They have a controlling interest in Boston Dynamics. So I'm definitely going to be exploring this potential setup as well. It's going to be a little bit of a different structure because Hyundai Motor owns Boston Dynamics, and I will be looking at owning Hyundai Motors through which I can own Boston Dynamics. So it's going to be a little bit of a different structure, but we'll definitely be looking into that potential idea and exploring it moving forward as well. So these were the 10 top AI stocks that I believe have a lot of potential, broken down between high quality, high growth, high valuation, reasonable growth, reasonable valuation, of course, low quality, which is speculation and non-profitable, and a reasonable idea for us to explore. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. What do you think about these companies? I would love to know from you guys. As always, if you enjoyed this video, found it helpful, make sure that you drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Happy investing, and I'll see you all in the next video.